with Johnny Molam. So a very quick car that should be starting from the outside of row number 2. Row 3 then is where we find the former champions. Number 225, Team Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport. That car started by Farkini Diot, and they'll have Team Greenheath, number 14, Gary Bates alongside. Here is that grid. So there were the first 3 rows that I just mentioned. Team PLR Racing, Britain West Motorsport, Team Viking, Red River Sport, Team Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport, and Team Greenheath starting inside the top 6. Row 4 then for number 103, that's the Axiometrics car started by Simon Rudd, and 106 DW Motorsport powered by BPC. That one started by Victor Cara. Row 5, number 99, Team C Data's Matt Hogg, and 104 EDF Motorsports. Sorry, that's the Victor Cara started car. The 106 on the previous row was actually started by Mark Crawford. Row number 6 then for number 1, GCI Racing, reigning champion Ian Wood at the wheel with 155. Team Ratters Racing, that car pedalled in the opening stint by Peter Ratcliff. Row 7 then is where you find MJ Tech. That's the number 249 car with former Euro NASCAR driver Scott Jeffs at the wheel. They will share that 7th row with number 212. That is the EDF Motorsport car of Rob Croydon. Then you have got Vape Club with EDF Motorsports, Team 3 Motorsports, EDF Motorsports 158 car, and the number 49 Signature RV powered by BPC car starting 18th. 10th row then for number 210, Team Fueled Up Racing. Then the returning Team Race Logic. Fantastic to have the former champions back on the grid. The 252 car started by David Denyer, whilst at the back of the grid, number 97, GT Radial, and current championship leaders and race winners last time out at Donington Park, Team Olympian. The number 267 car started by Chris Devell, and that car should come rocketing through from the back of the grid. So the lights are out on the runyourfleet.com pace car. Andy McEwen and Richard John Neal here to talk you through all of the action in 4 hours of Fun Cup Endurance Championship racing, the 6th round of the 2023 championship. And will we get another new winner this season? It's been all about Uvio versus Team Olympian as far as race wins are concerned this year, but there are plenty of other teams who have been knocking on the door of victories so far. 2x2 to the line then. The red lights will go out very shortly, and we will be racing in the Fun Cup Endurance Championship here at Silverstone. Off they go towards Cops Corner now, and on the inside line from pole position, Ben Pitch looks to try and assert himself in the lead in the Team PLR racing machine. He will have that preferred inside line, and he will have the race lead as they exit Cops for the first time and head down towards Baggots and Beckett's, the 155 Team Ratters racing car running a little bit wide there, the red machine, but it's PLR who lead the way. Second place held by the Britain West Motorsport car, and that's the Vikings up into third. But here comes Farkini in the Uvio car, the black and gold number 225, charging round the outside line there as they head through Beckett's corner, and that car already on the move. There's one car off through the grass further back. The front splitter gets broken, and that will certainly slow down a Fun Cup car if you start knocking that front bodywork loose. Couldn't quite catch. I think that might be the 98, isn't it? The Team 3 Motorsport car of Andy Bennett with an early grassy excursion. The pack then descends upon Brooklands for the first time. It's going to be as close as this for quite some time, I'd expect, but it looks as though, Richard, it will be PLR Racing's Ben Pitch who leads the opening lap.
Yeah, good start by Ben. Oh, and a spin in the mix of the EDF Motorsport car. Victor Cara spins, 99 car out as well, so not what you want. Matt Hogg and Victor Cara, well, they've got plenty of time. The good thing is, if you've got a problem, have it at the start of the race, and then you've got plenty of time to sort it out. But ideally, don't want any problems at all. Remember, random grid, more or less, with previous race winner starting at the back. And yeah, Ben Pitch really making the most of that start. Gordon Ross in the BW Motorsports. Remember, that car looking to try and get involved in that prize money for brand newcomers to finish on the podium will get a financial prize if they can maintain it, and they've certainly positioned themselves well. They were quick in the practice session as well. But yeah, massive sort outs to do. There is Simon Rudd in the mix. He was quick, wasn't he, the last time I commentated with you, which was at Brands. He was quick in the early stages of that wet race.
Was indeed. Much better conditions today, thankfully, and look at the jockeying for position at the front of the field. I'm really impressed here with the 251 car. Gordon Ross staying with the race leader.
Yeah.
But look at that, round the outside goes Farkini. He's up into third place now in the Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport car. That car, remember, started 5th on the grid, much further up the grid than we usually see them. They're typically at the back because they won the most recent race, or if they're not, they seem to get drawn towards the back of the field quite often. But starting near the front, they're into third place, but under pressure now from the number 49 car, and that is Marcus Clutton. Now, Marcus Clutton charging his way up the order really nicely. Started 18th, would you believe?
I was going to say, where's he come from?
Exactly. Well, he's in the lead now, is he? He's got up the inside of everyone. Wow! Marcus Clutton from 18th to the lead in 2 laps.
Yeah, oh, look at this, 4-1. This is Fun Cup. This is fun. This is Fun Cup. And Clutton down to third at the moment as the 251 car, the Britain West Motorsports car, gets into the lead, but now we've got Farchini coming through. He's got his nose in front now.
This is why I love the Fun Cup, and when I said that this track was perfect for these cars, this is what I meant. The slipstream is so powerful that it's very unlikely that Farchini is going to hold on to the race lead even down the length of the Wellington Straight. They fan out 3, 4, almost 5 abreast into the braking zone. Clutton tries to commit to the outside line, and it looks as though he's going to have a challenge for the race lead through the left-hander at Brooklands. That gives him the inside line for Luffield, but Farchini positions the car well and hangs on to the advantage.
Fantastic racing in any formula, let alone when you've got the best part of 4 hours to go. Keep this up, gents. Should we make it a 5 hour?
I think that's not a bad idea, you know. I think we're certainly going to be seeing lots of lead changes in this opening part of the race. Marcus Clutton didn't quite lead at the line last time, and by 47 thousandths of a second, he again doesn't quite manage to lead at the line, but he does lead uncontested, actually, into Copse Corner. There is the C Data car. That is Matt Hogg. Rear bodywork very loose on that car, and he's surely going to have to go into the pit lane. If he doesn't hurry, he's going to have no rear bodywork left at all.
We will, though, get an underneath look at it, which would be nice for some viewers who might not have seen it. We are going to. That's not a great thing to see. Short lap, and now do these drivers have radios? I'm not as au fait with the champions as I probably should be, because we've got great guys like you and Jamie who are here, but is there any warning that goes out to drivers? Obviously the flags can go out from the marshals, but is there any
3 different leaders already across just the first 5 laps of the race? 3 lead changes, the Silverstone record, you'll be delighted to know, 23 lead changes back in 2019. As competitive as the grid is this weekend though, Richard, I think there's a good chance that could be beaten, because there are so many cars that I think could be in contention for the race win if they stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, quality's right the way down the field driver-wise, isn't it? You could not ask for a better field of experienced drivers, a lot of youngsters wanting to come up in the mix as well. Yeah, absolutely superb. But Marcus Clutton, who I think most of my experience with has been with GT Cup.
Yeah.
And whatever he is in quick, and you wouldn't know this was a 4-hour race, would you, from the first couple of tours and the sort out.
I'd love to say that this is particularly frenetic. It's just kind of average, really, for a Fun Cup race. 3 wide into Beckett's, why not? GCI Racing now sweeping into the mix, and they gain 2 positions there with a lovely double slipstream out of Copse Corner. That number 1 car started by Ian Wood. Craig Butterworth will be sharing. Yeah, so EDF Motorsport, they set that a little while ago, but good lap for them. Ducking out of the slipstream there for Marcus Clutton as he looks to the outside at Brooklands Corner, but Farchini sort of defending them when I feel he doesn't really need to. I don't think Marcus has really any intention of passing him right now. They want to try and build a gap to the rest of the field, but I think that gap 3rd to 4th on this lap might be starting to creep down. Yes, it has, by about half a second in the first 2 sectors alone. So what is at the moment a relatively calm 3-car group at the front of the field might be about to grow.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're going to see Rudd get them in and maybe get back up from 3rd to 1st. How are we going on time? We've got 15 minutes gone for the
Copse Corner they go then, leading group heading towards Maggots and Beckett's now. We haven't really had much of a chance to break from the on-track action yet, but down in the pit lane with I think some news of the early skirmishes in the race is Jamie Peters-Ennis. Jamie, what have you got?
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy start for our 6th round here at Silverstone. We've just got Matt Hogg's 99 C Data car.
I think we've lost him.
Well, we'll get back to Jamie in a moment or 2.
He's lost for words.
Yes, not the only one.
Am I back?
Oh, yes, there you go.
Welcome back.
Hello. Okay, I can't go in the garage. Right. Okay, yeah, so a lot of work being done on the 99 car, because obviously we've got to make sure the car is safe. We don't want any sharp edges or anything. Of course, we need to make sure the brake lights work. And as you see, Chris Wesley, our eligibility scrutineer, is giving the car a once-over to make sure it's all okay. You also had Victor Cara just bring the 104 car in for a quick check over as well. And I mean, Andy and Rich 5 abreast into Brooklands on the 2nd lap. I mean, that's just absolutely unheard of, isn't it?
Not bad, is it? Can you count the cable ties on that car, Jamie? How many did they get through in the end?
I think we've gone through about 3 packets so far. I mean, even Frank Farber from the GT Radial team, he's even been helping out, which is true camaraderie. I mean, welcome to the championship. We didn't expect you to be on your hands and knees putting cable ties to a fellow competitor's car.
Yeah, you know, it's Fun Cup. That means fun, and you know, we're all racers. And if somebody needs a little bit of hand or something, we for sure will help out.
And I mean, how do you find the cars? Because you're used to single-seaters, and of course you were invited over here with Simone by GT, and it's a fantastic opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really, really nice. Very nice people. We got very warm welcomes here, and yeah, it's a very, very tiny and nice little racing car. We were surprised with everything, with the gearbox, with the engine stuff. Everything is a very nice package. Good tires, just with the GT tires. So thank you very much for the opportunity to GT Radial that we can take part here. Because Simone, my friend and co-driver, she's racing like me, historic racing cars in Germany. And GT Radial is one of her sponsors in Germany. So, and I have the luck to be here just as a, as a supporter driver, something like this.
Excellent. Well, what we'll do is we'll catch up after your first stint later on in the race. So enjoy it. Welcome to the party. Are you going to go back and help get this car back?
Not a very high number at all. Therefore, you have to kind of plan your race strategy around there not being one. In fact, I don't think we've ever had more than 2 safety cars in a Silverstone race. Got to try and stay in that lead group, and that does change the mentality. You've got no choice really, Richard, whether you want to or not. You've got to get stuck in here in the early stages. You are not guaranteed that opportunity to catch up again later on.
No, that's absolutely right. We've got a spinner on the back there.
Oh, that's the championship leader. That is Olympian around, and I think it's the 106 they've tangled with, and there's damage. There is damage on the right rear corner for the championship leading car. Team Olympian in big, big trouble. Chris Doval, who we'd just been saying had been staying out of trouble, doing exactly what he had to do, and Team Olympian are not going to be scoring many points from this race. They will try and limp the car back, I'm sure, but that's not going to be easy to do, and it will not be a quick fix. Allowed until you cross that timing line, so a few of them peeking their nose out of line into Brooklands for no obvious reason, but that, Richard, is a pretty much picture-perfect restart for the race leader.
Yeah, Marcus knows all about that. He'll be looking in his mirrors, just waiting for the car behind to be pointing at very slightly the wrong angle, and then he'll nail it. Traditional stuff, isn't it, for restarts? And yeah, always wonderful to see. Really good stuff from him. Equally, Simon Rudd responding to that well. And then Farchini in 3rd position gets away well too. The top 3 have done what they did in the first part. We had more of a bun fight, didn't we, in the opening laps, but these 3 have done what they were doing over the rest of that first stint and just starting to get away. The battle is back on for 4th position. So down through Maggots they go, round into the Beckett's complex. Mark Holm on the inside here, coming under pressure from the 249 MJ Tech car, and then we've got Pitch next up, trying to close in as well, make up a position or 2 before they get into the first set of pit stops. Now we've got 3:21 just under on the clock, so very nearly out. That pit window will be open next time, and Marcus Clutton has got away very, very well indeed. That 49 car is going to be handed over to Steve Ruston, so again another quick driver getting ready to take over that car. The 103 will go, the Axiometrics car will be handed over to Christopher Wetherall. So again, no slouch. And then Neil Burrows for the
PLR know what sort of a strong championship position that could put them into. Ben Pitch still, despite that, going on the attack here, pulling to the outside of Scott Jeffs as they go towards Copse Corner. Side by side ahead of them as well, the 212 car hanging on to 4th. But what happened for 6th position? Did PLR manage to get through? No, they didn't. It is still Scott Jeffs who keeps the red number 146 car behind.
Yeah, he does. When do we get the signal about the pit lane being open? Is the pit lane open? Pit lane's open any time, isn't it? So they just come in when they
Yes.
know. How is that managed from team to team? They have a timer in the car or a signal or?
A lot of them have pit boards, and yes, I'm sure some of them do have timers, but of course they know the pit window's open because there is a pit window board that the championship hold out over, one of the marshals on the start line hold out over the pit wall, so they'll all have seen that now, which means that they should be able to pit this time if they want to, but this is where we'll see what the different trains of thought are. Some thinking that maybe it's better just to keep on logging laps, and some maybe feeling that they want to try and get out of the traffic. You shouldn't lose a lap here from a pit stop, even with a driver change of fuel, so you're pretty free on when you can stop. No real danger of slipping a lap down and then getting trapped by a safety car, for example, but no one yet making that turn to the right, and they're going to continue battling out on circuit. Good news, really, for us, because the pit stops inevitably can separate things for a little while. No danger of that just yet, though.
No, seemingly you might want to leave a faster driver out there just as long as possible if that's the case, and the top three certainly will all want to do that, but Marcus Clutton has been a really, really good, I wouldn't expect anything else, really good first stint. Track limits there?
Well,
is that one of the... Yeah,
they're not monitoring it there, I believe.
Oh, they're not?
No.
Which is why they're all using the extra road.
Exactly, yes. So you can widen the exit of Beckett's quite a bit beyond what you would think are the track limits. And that's what they're all choosing to do.
Gap though, Andy, it's a huge gap, isn't it? Just a couple of laps after the safety car. And they're almost back where they were before the safety car.
Exactly, they picked up exactly where they left off. It only took them a lap or so to build this margin. It was about 10 seconds, I think, when the safety car came out, so it's come down slightly as Scott Jeffs peeks around the outside of Mark Holm, but that's not really likely to work. Scott, as I said, a former Euro NASCAR racer, so he's used to taking the high line, but didn't really work for him that time through Luffield. Settles back into that slipstream, and in fact they're both now going to try and gang up, I think, on Rob Croydon in the 2-1-2 car as they flash past the pits at the end of the 33rd lap of the race.
Going quickly this one, who'd have believed we were already 45 minutes into it, very nearly, and still the top three circulating in very close proximity. Marcus Clutton drifts out of Beckett's. You ever been in the Beckett's box? You must have been in there many times. Lovely place to watch. Pit stop's underway.
Yes, 110, the old Viking car. That's Gareth Williams handing over to Johnny Molam. So not a great surprise to see them in early. They wanted to maximise Johnny's driver time. Johnny's raced a few cars over the years, hasn't he? And I believe has done a couple of Fun Cup races in the past. I'm struggling to remember when we last saw him. So he's on his way. Not the only one in the pit lane though, Richard.
No, we've got several other cars in there, and he, I think, is the first one to come out. He's the scrap for 4 once again. Yep,
that's Mark Holm and Scott Jeffs side by side again as they were a lap ago. And it's the same result this time, only Scott almost loses out to Ben Pitch, immediately jumps to the inside.
I've still got the fastest lap, actually with the 49 car now, so new fastest lap, and that goes to Marcus Clutton.
Yeah, of course he had a slipstream that time, which he hasn't really had much of since he settled into the lead.
If it was Johnny Molam, it would be a quick one.
Exactly, yeah, so that might well tell.
Because he can eke out a little bit more space over himself in the second place car currently.
So as the pit lane prepares to become a very busy place, let's head down into the centre of all of the action. We have a lead change on track. And, well, we'll get to Jamie in a moment then, because we have had a lead change. Simon Rudd now goes to the front and was ahead by a decent bit, actually, there of the 49 car Marcus Clutton at the line. And Simon Rudd out ahead. The Uvio car has pitted from 3rd place, though. So too has the 251, the 170, the 249, 212. Everybody pitting, but the leaders, Richard, must have snuck through just before the pit window closed last time.
We would hope so.
Yes.
I'm sure they will have done. The tacticians here know exactly what they're doing, and the strategists. I'm surprised I managed to say that without falling over. Down the Welly Straight we go once again, so let's see whether... Oh, here we go, Marcus Clutton, not happy, wants to be back in the lead, pops down the inside, excellently conducted manoeuvre, and back into the race lead, and we think round into pit lane. Will they still show in the lead, depending on where they are in the pits?
Very true, actually. Well, let's find out, because they do indeed both peel to the right. Mark Jamie Peters-Ennis.
Crew can't keep up with this. They're having a great time down here, and another person who's having a great time in that first hit was Peter Ratcliff. I won't repeat what you said when you got out of the car, but you were absolutely beaming, weren't you?
Yeah, beaming, buzzing. My goodness, what a start. Session was just awesome. Super close, super tight. We started about 12th, I think,
But I mean, it was frenetic from the word go, totally frenetic, absolutely wonderful. Super clean everywhere, super clean, but super close, loads of drafting, lots of overtaking, bit disappointing getting overtaken, but then you take back. So absolutely loved it, yeah, beaming, loved it, fantastic.
And your view of 5 abreast into Brooklands on lap 2?
Yeah, it's quite entertaining. But some laps later, 3 of us going into... Is Brooklands the one at the end of the long straight? I think going into there. 3 of us absolutely together. I out-braked, I think, but of course it was a wee bit too hot, so I'm sideways going round. And we didn't touch. It was just fantastic. We came round, came back, carried on. It was just wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know who I was fighting with, any idea, but they were all brilliant.
So now you're going to go and have a lie down now. John's out there now. He's getting quicker and quicker, isn't he?
John is coming on so well. He's absolutely on me and David now, which is brilliant, because if we can all be almost the same, we should have a really good team. So we're building strongly, and I'm very, very happy for the boys. John's getting more confident with each race, which is wonderful. So he needs to build his racecraft, which he understands, but he's getting quick, and he'll learn that racecraft. So I think, we've got the good basis for a proper team for 24. Feeling positive, yeah.
Is that an announcement? You're back for next year?
We absolutely are.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, Peter. Right, what we're also going to do is going to have...
They come out, doors are both closed, out they go. We'll have to wait, of course, until Axiometrics pit before we get a full picture of that, but they're obviously planning for later in the race. If you keep on pumping fuel in early, usually you're planning on having those shorter pit stops later on. And the lead gap, therefore, may well stay a bit more static than we expected, because yes, I think you're right. A little while back, yeah, I think you might be right with that one, having back here on the front cup grid. In now come Team Viking. They're taking a churn of fuel. So out goes the fuel. In gets Jonathan Hode again in his second stint. And where will he pop out, I wonder, Richard, in relation to the Race Logic car that pitted a lap earlier?
Yeah, this is going to be up with the 49 car again, which is away down 12th position at the moment. Had its third stop. It's the Team Ratter's car in pit lane.
Yeah, I think when all is said and done, the 49 car will be off the lead lap, unfortunately, which is a shame, because when Marcus Clutton got back in it later, if it was still on the lead lap, I think they'd have been contenders for the win, but it is...
Welcome back to Silverstone. It is getting ever closer here in the 4th stint for us here in what has been a fascinating race so far. It's Chris Wetherall still out front at the moment and has managed to just put a bit of a gap between himself and the second place car by virtue of some traffic, which finds itself a lap down, but it is all go at the moment. There is the 146 car, which is in second position. Neil Plymmer at the wheel of the PLR car. And I've got to say that Chris Wetherall really dealt with the traffic well there, had an excellent second stint in the car and has just managed to clear this traffic. And that's key at this time of the race. Plymmer, though, is dealing with 2 cars for the price of 1 as they come down into Brooklands. The 110 car just holding sway there. That's the Red River Sport car. I think we've got Johnny Molam doing the last stint of the race, and he's a little way down at the moment in the 110 car, but proving difficult to overtake. The Red River Sport 110 car actually down in 10th position at the moment and causing a little bit of spoiler action. But think of it from their point of view, they want to get back onto the lead lap, because if there is the unlikelihood of another safety car, then they will be in a position where they can tag themselves on the back of the field. What they won't want to do, or what the leader won't want them to do, is engage in battle and maybe get involved in taking him out. But you can see the 110 car has got that little bit more space at the moment. It is Johnny Molam, isn't it, at the car? So Johnny, who was quicker, unlaps himself and finds himself here with an
mightily exciting to watch. As if it wasn't exciting enough, we've got a 5th car now joining in the battle, because that is Fabio Randaccio, the Team Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport car. If it can get past the 212 car, which is laps down, it will make this well and truly a 5-way scrap for the lead.
It's like he was watching and said, no, I'm going to show him how to do this properly.
You can never resist, can Fabio or Fokin or Vikings up the inside at Cobbs. and that very nearly ended in contact. Now that will really slow down their exit. Plymouth had to run wide over the runoff area, and look at that loss of momentum. The Vikings get absolutely swamped. Race Logic go one way, Aximetrics the other, and the EDF car sees a chance to get a lap back. Look at Fabio, he's back into third place again.
How
second
did he
place.
slot through that?
Wow, how did he spot that gap and just kept his foot pinned? He's gone from 5th to 2nd.
Incredible stuff, wasn't it, from Fabio, and could be a race leader again very shortly, and we were writing him off.
Yes.
3 or 4 laps ago, no, he's well off, problem with the car, and up into P2, and closing in on Neil Plymouth, just making their way past the Coles Croydon EDF Motorsport car in 212. He must be wondering what is happening to him. He's got a Viking invasion, but he's got Fabio right behind him, then the V-Box car, then Chris Weatherall from the race lead back into 5th or 6th position, and work to do. As long as he's there, it doesn't matter, because the pit stops will sort themselves out again. And we've got another 5 minutes before the pit stop window opens again, and again we stick our hands together and pray that we don't lose this wonderful battle with the lead group.
15 lead changes we're at now. The Silverstone record 23 I've just looked up, so I think we really are going to stand a chance of beat it. Missing the apex ever so slightly, cutting back to the late apex and managing to come off the turn pretty well. EDF now pit, so that takes them out of that group. We do now have once again a genuine fight for the lead between Team Viking number 170, Team Race Logic number 252, PLR Racing 146, and the Team Uvio. Confident in the drizzly conditions maybe, because all of a sudden the Vikings look to have a bit of
an inch, just an inch, that's all they need. It's brilliant.
And at the minute, we understand it is a one-off because we know you're so busy, obviously, with your businesses and other commitments. But are you wanting to try and come back and do some more? You've always said never say never, haven't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see what the future brings. So, I love it. I'm not going to swear. I absolutely love it.
That's good. And 2024, maybe if, as we say, you got time, try and do a few more.
Definitely. Yeah. It's the best. Yeah.
Well, we can officially say welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. That's Julian Thomas from Team Race Logic. As we got PLR Racing in at the moment, they're just having a single fuel stop for Neil Plymouth just jumped out of the car. Ben Pitch is getting back in. Fuel turn release. Ben Pitch gets in, and the team very quickly on the belts to make sure that the belts are all done up securely. The seat is adjusted for Ben. Engines fired up. Now they've got to
get back to the pit lane. We could have our second safety car interruption of the race. Down towards us come the Vikings. They look to have reclaimed the race lead, I reckon. So at the end of this lap, we'll have another lead change. Uvio second, and that is then who in third place? I reckon it'll be Race Logic third, and no sign yet of PLR, so that really was a costly pit stop for the car that had been leading an awful lot of laps in recent memory. So another shuffle of the pack, and this time around we do see now a bit more separation between some of the cars in that lead group, with Team Viking about to come through and lead another lap of the race. We'll let them come across the line before we officially call it, but there we go. That is the record-breaking 24th lead change, record for Silverstone anyway. 24th lead change in the race, and Richard, we've still got over an hour to go.
It's going to smash the record, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they'll go some to beat the record from Thruxton, which was in a 4-hour race. Let me just double check I've got this right. 63 lead changes at Thruxton, but that is Slipstream City. But yeah, we're certainly going to smash the Silverstone record, that is for sure.
It's almost one every couple of laps.
Yeah, well, it really was. You know, the TSL timing these days give us some very interesting data on lead changes. So we had Uvio out in front for quite a while, from lap 74 to lap 107. Then we had a lead change on lap 107, one on 116, one on 117, then 120, 123, 124, 126, 127, 28, 29, 31, so on and so forth. We had one virtually every lap for about 20 laps or so. That was some absolutely sensational racing. But it is Team Viking with Ursus Capital Racing who find themselves back in front, and by a reasonable margin as well. 5.3 seconds was their margin over Team Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport, and as they sweep through now to complete another lap, that is the 249 car stationary at the side of the road. So yeah, you can see what's coming, can't you? There's no way they're going to leave that car there. There's no way really to recover it without neutralising the race, I fear. Black smoke out of the back of the car. That was a familiar sight back when we had the diesel cars running in this championship, but less so now. Marshall scramble into action down at the end of the Wellington Straight, And, well, Richard, just as we have, well, I was going to say some separation at the front of the field. This is Uvio battling with Axiometrics, albeit not for position. Just as the lead group have separated, I think they're all about to be bunched back together again.
Good news for Ben Pitch.
Very, yes. 25 seconds lost there.
Yeah, that's just how it can play out, isn't it? You can lose out in the pit stops, and they seem to have a bit of an issue with the belts, but both yellows here, so they need to sort themselves out. There we go, safety car.
To watch some great racing. 4 wide we saw not so long ago. Yeah, great stuff.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys, and obviously thank you for everything that you've done. That's Kate and Liza from Driven Minds. So yeah, look them up online or through the BRSCC. As we go, green flag, it's back to Andy McEwen and Richard John Neal.
As always, Jamie, your timing is impeccable. Green flag back out again. We're racing once more here at Silverstone with 57 minutes left on the clock. 146 laps are completed, but it's car 170 that leads the way. Team Viking with Ursus Capital Racing. The car right behind them is the Axiometrics 103, looking to try and get back on the lead lap, whilst everybody else fights for track position behind. There is the Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport car, second place in the race for them right now. And in third position, the blue and white Team Race Logic car a bit further back in the traffic, with PLR Racing 4th, GCI Racing 5th, and Team Green Heat in sync. And a really important restart here for Vikings. They need to try and bolt, don't they, Richard, before the chasing pack breaks through the traffic.
Yeah, they do. Simon Rudd, though, taking the opportunity to get a lap back. I'm sure he's not going to get another safety car to join the lead group, and indeed if he did, he'd still have an awful lot of traffic to negotiate, but at least he's got himself, I think, back onto that lap. He's not actually done too badly. He's in 7th position. I thought he must have been, with the top 6 on the lead lap, as you rightly said before we went yellow. And he's going to be away there. Remember, he's the driver that started that car and led as we came into the pits from the first stint. But loads going on. We've got 3 Masters in the top, and it's 55 and above, I think the graphic said.
Yes,
Masters.
it is, yeah.
So, the old boys, we can call them that, and I would include myself in that particular group, doing well. So I think Stuart Lyons was saying it's about youngsters. It isn't.
No, certainly not. As I said earlier on, it really is one of those categories where experience, I think, will get you ultimately onto the podium. The quick youngsters might be good in the early stages of the race, but it's those with a wise head on their shoulders who will stay out of trouble and position themselves somewhere they can fight for the race win in the closing stages of the race. Down the Wellington straight we go. There is the battle that's going on for 4th place, by the way. The red car of PLR Racing and the white and red number 1 of GCI Racing. They're nose to tail just towards the back of this group of cars. Race Logic, 3rd in the race, right in the middle of it, and trying to chase down the Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport car. PLR amazingly just did a purple middle sector, actually getting a massive slipstream from this whole group of cars ahead. Fastest of anyone through that section of track, but unlikely to be able to continue that through sector 3.
No, for sure. They're in the second of the red cars that you can see just to the left of shot as they tick off another lap. Lap's not necessarily important, all really about the timing. And Uvio Hoffman, I think they're going to be in a good place. We've still got one more stop to go, which is now, 14 minutes away. Again, it comes round, ticks around very, very quick indeed with the safety cars. As the 267 car, the erstwhile championship leaders, just right in the mix here, but not where they want to be. Trying to get that fastest lap point. Can't even remember who's got that at the moment. Oh, it's
Race Logic.
Race Logic.
Yeah.
109.763.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way for Team Olympian, if anyone is going to take the fastest lap from them, they'd prefer it to be Race Logic, not a championship contending car. Team Olympian, even if they get the point, likely won't keep it because they'll count this as one of their drop scores. The point was they wanted to steal it from an Uvio or a Race or a PLR, sorry, or a Axiometrics, one of the championship contending cars. So right now, though, fast lap times not really likely to come from many in this group. They're all sort of trying to slowly work their way through. But again, good work in traffic from the PLR racing car. It is now Ben Pitcher at the wheel, not Neil Plimmer. But regardless of who's in that car, it does seem to come through the traffic nicely.
Yeah, and that's absolutely key, isn't it? It's key at the start. It's key when you've got the traffic that builds up, and then again at the restarts that we've seen. So it'll be interesting to see whether that car can actually make it up onto the podium or not, as we look at the gaggle of cars all disputing this second position.
Yeah, Race Logic back on the tail of Uvio. PLR aren't far behind. There is the red car, the 251 there drifting a little bit wide out of Beckett, so we've almost got second, third and fourth together, but the Vikings have done exactly what I said they needed to. They have bolted. They're 4 seconds up the road. They are quite happily tucked in behind Simon Rudd in the Axiometrics car, and those 2 cars are scarpering away at the front of the pack. Uvio coming towards us, still just about second, and Race Logic getting pinched in the middle. That was a dangerous place to be, and sensibly there, I think David Denyer got himself out of that situation.
He did, didn't he? He's got Ben Pitch right behind him, so we've got to scrap on for that final podium slot coming up. But yeah, Vikings have got almost the perfect drafting car now, haven't they, now?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Simon Rudd. Quick car, was quickest in the first section. Had a quick look outside, we're under yellows. No more rain coming, so we're done, I'm pretty sure.
Good, that is good news. We don't want anything now to put a dampener on this race, literally. The dry, the racing tends to be a little bit closer around a place like Silverstone, so let's hope that is the weather that we have till the end. 52 minutes of racing still to go. One more round of pit stops incoming within the next quarter of an hour or so. And down towards Beckett's comes this second place squabble. Ben Pitch now looking to the outside of the 246 car. That car's looked a bit wild in the braking zone at Beckett's on a few occasions. It is Vlad Vasiliev back behind the wheel of the 11th placed car, Vape Club with EDF Motorsports car. Here come Race Logic then, David Denyer onto the tail of Uvio. They're going to go 4 wide with some back markers, but round the outside goes Race Logic. They're into P2.
Superb stuff. Come on, Bill.
Bit of a touch there, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Race Logic and the 251 car, very close stuff. Uvio struggling to get past them, look, so they're losing ground already.
They are. We need to see Ben Pitch sort of join up and maybe try and haul it back up into that second position battle, but the quartet that we saw towards the tail end of the last section of the race has dissipated now, so things are relatively calm for the minute.
He says as there's a screech of tyres from Cops Corner. I don't think that was anything too much to worry about. Someone slipping a bit wide, might have been the Olympian car actually. Not sure who's in that. It should be Christian Rose, but whether they've stuck to their driver order, I'm not sure, with them being so far down the order. They're 21st place at the moment. Sharp intake of breath, I think, was because of the PLR car trying to squeeze through a gap that wasn't really there, heading into Beckett's. GCI Racing, there's Greenheath, number 14, still on the lead lap, remember, in 6th place. Not really been much of a factor in this race, and yet here they are, contenders now heading into the final hour.
That's the thing, it can just play out like that, can't it? You can keep working away, just keep your nose clean, do the pit stops about right, hope for a safety car, which we got, and that closed the top 6 up, albeit with the intermingling traffic to have to deal with, which might scupper them.
Yeah, that's the one thing really that has caused a bit of separation on this restart, just because the pack markers are not getting out of the way, and they don't have to. They're not often shown blue flags really in Fun Cup racing.
Here comes Ben Pitch though. Yeah,
Ben Pitch in the slipstream, pulls out to the inside line into Copse Corner. Now he needs to make sure he makes this move, because going in on the inside line can really hurt your exit speed if you don't make the move stick. See who came out on top. Is it the red PLR car? Yes it is, but he's run a bit wide on the exit, and so back alongside him now comes the Farkini driven Uvio car, and it's back into third place, excuse me.
What's the record on changes of place for third? Sorry, Andy.
That thought did occur to me before. We've had a lot of them as well, haven't we? If we get a couple more lead changes, by the way, I've got a spectacularly Anaraki stat for you, but we'll see if we ever get there. We need a couple more for that to be relevant. Down the back straight we go. PLR back on the inside of Uvio for third position. That's not going to work. So difficult, isn't it, jockeying for position like this whilst also trying to encounter and negotiate these cars that are laps down. You're battling so hard for outright position, but other cars keep on getting involved.
This is where, if you've got your back marker, you really don't want them hampered. Just get out of the way, let me crack on, but they're racing for their points, so they need to kind of maintain that position.
Indeed so. As I said, there's no blue flag system really in Fun Cup racing, so as long as you're capable of keeping pace with the cars around you, which with the power of the slipstream here, you should be able to. Be asked to pull aside by marshals or race control. There goes the MJ Tech car back out. I don't think we ever heard what the problem was there, so I don't know whether Jamie can find out. Oh no, and that's the 110 off. That is, oh dear me. We know where this is going. That's Copse Corner for the Red River Sport car. They were running in 8th place. It was Gareth Williams, at the wheel. Johnny Boland was set to do the final stint, and that car ain't going to move on its own, is it?
about. It's going to push your average safety cars up.
It's going to be another record, I think, on what's been a record-breaking day as David Denyer flips up the inside there.
David Denyer very comfortable at the moment in second position, albeit 6.6.
Able to stop, and they will then bring us back to green flag, where immediately the battling will start to kick off again. Team Viking with Ursus Capital lead the way, but that battle for second place not that far behind, is now between Race Logic and PLR. Then Pitch in the PLR machine immediately jumps to the inside of Race Logic and tries to claim second place for his own at Cops Corner. Does not succeed in doing so though. That will slow him down on the exit of the turn and maybe bring GCI Racing onto their tail. It does. Here comes the GCI car, the reigning champion, as the Vikings get themselves involved in a really close moment there with EDF and Team Olympian. So Richard, just as things have started to settle down after that previous safety car restart, we re-rack them, we bunch them all back together again, and once again you've got to try and pick your way through some back markers that are not that far off the pace.
Yeah, and how important is it going to be maybe to, if you're in the mix here, just to grab a quick pit stop?
Yeah, I think that's sensible. If you're GCI, PLR, you get a lot of time, couldn't you, from getting yourself out of this mess that makes its way through Brooklands Corner. 2-1-2 unlaps itself. That puts it 1 lap down. It was 2 full laps down at the beginning of the lap, and it means there's only 1 car now between the top 2 in the race. The yellow and black and blue Viking car, the blue and white Race Logic, the all red of PLR in third, just ahead of car number 1 GCI Racing, with Uvio in fact right on their tail as well. So we have got them all absolutely together as they cross the line and head for Cops Corner again. 1 or 2 of the stragglers pitting, but no one from the lead lap. And as they head through Cops Corner, intensity really starting to build now as we prepare for that final round of pit stops. PLR ducking out of the train, and Ben Pitch, I think, could be under attack here from GCI Racing into Beckett's.
Yeah, he's used to it though, isn't he? He'll be able to fight back. There goes the position. Oh, look at that, siding through. Wow. And looks like Farkini coming through as well. He does. Yeah,
so Ian Wood then gains a place, so does Farkini. Pitch on the grass now, and this reminds me of the opening stint of the race when Ben Pitch was leading, wasn't he? Got elbowed wide through Beckett's and just plummeted down the order. Not the time of the race we try to do that. Here comes a lead change though. Race Logic up the inside of Team Viking. They get boxed in behind EDF though, and I think the Team Viking car is going to try and stand its ground on that outside line, get the inside for Luffield, and maybe, just maybe, hang on to the advantage. They're still door handle to door handle as they head towards the end of another lap.
Yeah, lovely side-by-side racing for the lead, and it's Team Viking that hang on to it. V-Box are coming through. We've got the Neil Plymmer changeover about to happen because Ben Pitch has pitched to the right of the circuit and gone into pit lane ready for his stop, and that a good timing for me.
Yeah, he'd just been knocked out of his rhythm as well, hadn't he, there? So I think it made sense for him to come in and just try and hand over to Neil Plymmer. Neil should hopefully, if it's a quick stop, rejoin in some clean air and maybe be able to almost undercut this lot, put some really quick laps in whilst they're all busy tripping over each other. Right then, first, second and third getting themselves together. There is the final pit stop of the day for PLR Racing. If they put any fuel in, it was only a little splash, wasn't it? Because they've already done with that. So as long as they don't lose too much time push starting the car, this should be a really good strategy move. Neil Plymmer about to go, the door is slammed, the car is pushed. He selects first gear, it's not pretty, but he does get the car going, and he will rejoin in some nice clean air.
Team have managed those really well given the problems that they've had in pit lane and given us a nice view of what might be a podium winning move, maybe a race winning move, who knows, as we go side by side for the lead again. And Viking's still there, but the number 1, the reigning champion's up in the mix as well. This is all getting closer, and again, we've said it every single pit stop window opening, that's going to sort of rob us of some very close racing, and that's just the nature of this championship. I shouldn't sound surprised.
No, absolutely. 3 wide they go into Cops Corner. That's Race Logic going on the inside of the wounded 99 car and trying to convert that into a move for the lead, but it didn't quite work. So still, somehow, Team Viking stay in front. Uvio now stop. Now we can do with following where this car comes out in relation to PLR Racing. It looks like a similar stop. I don't think they needed any fuel. Of course, the car accelerates away much more quickly though, definitely saving some time there against one of the cars they're fighting for this race win.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? That looked like a very, very efficient stop. They didn't have the clutch problem as well, so are going to be well clear.
Wow, it's the clutch that's going to cost PLR this race, I think, isn't it? Or a chance anyway at the race. They lost a huge amount of time there in that pit stop. They're, what, half a lap behind, do you think?
Yeah, yeah, there or thereabouts.
Yeah, Uvio at Beckett's as PLR come through Woodcote.
Yeah, Fabio, so we've got to wait for the other cars to come in. It's
It's good.
We
it's
just want to
good.
see what happens.
I know, I'm on the edge, Mark. I'm not on my seat. I haven't been on my seat at all through this race, but if I was, I'd be on the edge of it. Olympian into the pit lane. That gets them out of the leading gaggle. And here comes maybe a challenge from Team Race Logic down towards Copse Corner for the race lead. David Denyer up the inside of Mark Holm, and he does move the V-Box liveried car to the front. And again, if he stays there to the end of the lap, that will be our 25th lead change of the race. But of course, he's now punching the hole in the air for Mark Holm to benefit from down that back straight.
He is. That was a lovely move, and you can see they've got not really too much breathing space over the number 1 car with Ian Wood, who will hand over to Craig Butterworth. Ian's going to just dispatch the car that's a lap or so down and get a clear run maybe, or is he? No, he isn't. 251.
It's 2011. Not many championships can boast those sort of numbers.
They can't boast the stats because they haven't got anyone clever enough and determined enough to do it. Well done, mate. Well done,
all
Andy.
of the calculations done by a spreadsheet, I should point out.
Super. It doesn't matter. You've still got to put the data in there. We all know that. You know, it's no, really commendable, mate. Well done.
Taking away.
We could still see the UVO Hoffman car taking. He's not being lost, is he,
No.
by the race leader at the moment? And this could all be about timing. It could come down to the last lap. It could come down to the last corner.
I've always said that Fun Cup racing is like a 4-hour Formula Ford race, and that really is what we've got, isn't it? It's where you want to be on that final lap. The UVO car, though, I think is in a bit of a difficult position because I think it can keep up in the draft. I think the slipstream allows them to maintain a pace, but will they be able to stay in front? If they make that move on the last lap, can they then stay there? Because that car in clean air quite clearly is struggling.
You know, I said it wasn't going to rain anymore. They've just told us it's raining at Beckett's.
Yeah, a little bit of rain. It's sunny at Beckett's here. I mean, I'm not too concerned. What you're seeing then, Richard, what do you think? Where do you want to be on the final lap? Leading or second?
Going on to the final lap, I think second. I agree with you entirely. The best move is down into Brooklands, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree. That seems to be the logical thing to do. How much of a spoiler will Simon Coles be, though? Is he going to, if they start battling on the last lap, is he going to try and unlap himself? There's no sense in doing that, really, but down the Wellington Straight. So are we done with trading of positions for the lead for the time being, with exactly 10 minutes to go? Perhaps attention very much now turning to what is going to happen on the final lap. Another complication, though, here, Richard, could be a little bit of lap traffic. I just saw a couple of back markers off in the distance, catch them at the wrong point, and that can lose you a heap of time.
Yeah, you need that knowledge. So it's not going to get wet enough, I don't think, but you can see little spits and spots. No wipers working on the cars yet. One hopes that it will stay at bay for the next 9 or so minutes, 9.5 minutes to go. Simon Coles getting closer to the lead trio, and we just saw going out of shot the traffic that Andy was referring to, and this might make a wee bit of a difference.
Well, yes, because if you catch a back marker on the last lap down the Wellington Straight, being in the lead is a good place to be. You get that little bit of a slipstream from the back marker, and maybe you use that to defend the lead position. So it depends when they catch them. You can definitely see it's getting a little bit greasy out there, I think, now, isn't it? The windscreen wipers coming on a few cars. Here comes the Race Logic car up the inside. They do now choose to move to the front of the pack, as here Uvio move back ahead of GCR Racing for third place in the background as well. Don't lose sight of that battle. In the traffic, though, Race Logic, I think Julian Thomas wanted to be the first to catch the back markers. There's always a chance here, isn't there? You can use the lap traffic just to put a bit of a buffer between yourself and second place.
Yeah, it can give you a cushion, can't it? But that's not going to be the way it pans out at the moment.
Oh, no! That's Uvio. Broken right rear suspension on the Uvio car, and this could be crucial for the straight they will head. Lots of weaving going on in the background. There's smoke pouring off cars further back, and I fear, Richard, that Uvio car is limping back to the pits.
Yeah, that's a big shame for them. They were gamely holding on. It was going to be, but that we didn't know it. I wonder if that was the ailing suspension that caused the problem. That's all part of the setup, isn't it? Particularly if you've got that understeer that's causing the problems. Could well be the case. Looks like as Neil Plymouth managed to deal with the 103 car again.
Yeah, yes, you might be right, actually. Back into 6th place.
Yeah,
that now becomes 5th place because the Uvio car is going to have to pit, and this is going to cost them. We've still got time for about 6 or 7 laps. They're going to drop down towards about 15th place or so. And like I said, they've already had that bad result at Alton last time out. That could be their championship hopes perhaps ebbing away. Speaking of which, have Race Logic's chances for a race win ebbed away? I think they've had another bad run in traffic there. Vikings further ahead now than they have been.
Yeah, there is a gap there. A little bit of rain affecting things. We've got the traffic.
Oh, no.
It's stopped. Are we going to finish under safety car? How many times has that happened?
Not very often, not very often. That would be a real shame, not the climax of the race that we wanted. If they're going to need a safety car, throw it now. Get it done early so that we still have a chance to get a green flag finish here. That car isn't moving, and I think we might well have no choice but to go safety car. But if they move it now, they've got half a chance of a couple of laps of racing still, and that would bring GCI and Greenheath and Axiometrics, would you believe, right back into the picture. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? From a lap down, they could yet fight at the very least for a podium if we get a safety car. I see no option here.
They've just gone through, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Right then. Yellow flags. Well, not yet. I think that's...
Oh, that's not out, is it? It's stored.
Yes. I think the direction of travel is the other way. No, I thought the same thing there. That's double wave yellows. Here comes the fight for the race lead, though. Race Logic up the inside into Beckett's corner. Could be the decisive move if we finish under safety car. Then you want to be in front when that safety car period is called for. Out of Beckett's they go then. Race Logic back to the front. Now remember, there's a yellow flag at Luffield, but not into Brooklyn, so the Viking car could still make another move down the straight. Here it comes to the inside line, they will go, and then they duck back in line again. That was interesting. Didn't feel that they had the momentum maybe to pull the move off.
Yeah, taking a wider run in, and that may well result in momentum which they could perhaps carry through Woodcote and onto the main straight. That might be the thinking here, and then maybe make a move into Copse. Brave Marshals getting ready to work on the infield, whistles blowing, get them out back to safety. The bonus point here is that all the cars that are going through know that that car is there. They're all aware, they all should remember, and they'll see the Marshals out ready to recover or attempt to recover the car. As we see Johnny Hode come back, there we go, it was about momentum going through down into Copse.
Indeed so, and I think the Viking car slipped a bit wide there, maybe a bit damp again at Copse corner. That could be the decisive moment, couldn't it? The Vikings suddenly, with, by this race's standards anyway, a very healthy lead heading down towards Beckett's again. And now Julian Thomas has to try and regroup. 4.5 minutes to go. Looks like maybe we're going to try and just finish this race with yellow flags at the final.
That are having to hold station, and they just come away from the white line, move over as we look at them over towards the left-hand side. So too does the Race Logic car, who's going to have a look on the outside. Hasn't quite got the sweep though. That was a very well executed run down the straight and into Brooklands by the leader.
Yeah, here we go then. One more time around the 1.6 mile Silverstone National Circuit. Either Team Viking with Ursus Capital Racing or Team Race Logic are likely to win this 6th round of the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. Place your bets now, everyone. One more lap to go, and Julian Thomas might just have one more realistic shot at this. Down in towards Copse corner he goes. Defensive line taken by the Vikings, but Johnny Hode sweeps back over to the racing line. Didn't want to compromise his run through the first turn, and Julian Thomas doesn't really gain anything out of that. Gets back in the slipstream now. Does he make the move into Beckett's, or does he wait for the back straight? He's going to try and make it into Beckett's. Tries to find the gap. Down driver's left. That's the outside line into the braking zone. There's contact. The door flies open on the Viking car, but the Race Logic car takes the lead. I think that's too early though, Richard.
Very possibly. We've got Simon Coles coming up in the mix as well. He's down in 9th place, a lap adrift. But here's the move along the inside as they come down the straight. The Team Viking car is going to try and get the lead back.
Down towards the final big braking zone of the lap, the final big braking zone of the race. The Vikings are back in front, and that might now be it. Through Brooklands they go for the final time. The checkered flag is waiting for one of these two teams, both of whom have spent large periods of this race trading the lead right the way throughout the 4 hours. It's going to come down to the final few meters. Is there enough time for Race Logic to get the slipstream and beat the Vikings to the line? I don't think they're quite going to do it. They're closing all the time. The timing line comes up quite quickly. It is just about going to be Team Viking by 9/100ths of a second who claim the victory here at Silverstone. It is by a country mile the closest finish we've ever had at the home of British Motor Racing, and it is Team Viking with Ursus Capital Racing who come out on top. Race Logic second, and Axiometrics from a lap down midway through the race are on the podium of the checkered flag.